It's preparing.
Okay.
It's preparing. There we go. All right, we should be live. So David, feel free to start at any time.
Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming to my presentation. My name is David Kluge. I'm at Nansan University in Nagoya, Japan. And the topic is ZAP, hip hop rap. So I've got to get my hip hop hat on. And here we go. My presentation will be different from many of the other presentations in that it is an activity and it is not as opposed to research. Looking at the theme of the conference, whose English is it anyway? If you asked a lot of teachers, a lot of them would say, of course, it's the students. But if you ask the students, almost all of them will say, oh, it's the teachers. That's the teachers' English. I have nothing here. However, the people here, I'm sure, would agree with me that the English is theirs. If it's not theirs, then we can assume that they will never be able to speak it. So this is one activity that I had devised to help make it clear that this is the students' English. So I'm going to set the stage for you. We have 30 minutes for a workshop, but actually I don't think we're going to be able to do much of a workshopping here because of the time limitation, but let me set the stage here. This whole project was based on one of 4 units of a 14 class meeting workshop course. So it's not a required class. It is a class that is elective, and it's the basics of it is performance in education. That is speech, drama, debate, and oral interpretation, and so on. There were 24 students, and oddly enough, mostly were engineering students because 2 of the students were my students last year in a required class, and they said they want to take me this year. So, and they were engineering students. So they invited their friends to join, which I thought was wonderful. However, they were, their separate level is basically A1. And they were 2nd to 4th year students. The unit was hip hop and rap. Now, hip hop is basically referring to the dance style hip hop, but also the culture of hip hop. And rap refers to the writing or the speaking of poetry, a particular type of poetry, and mannerisms of that presentation performance. Each student for this unit, so remember this is only one unit of 4 units in this 14-week class. Each student wrote their own rap based on their life. They learned some basic hip hop gestures and dance moves. So they created their own hip hop dance routines in small groups of between 4 and 6. Now, because this is engineering students, out of a class of 24, 6 were women and 18 were men. But and all of the women decided that they wanted to be in the same group. So that was very interesting. They practiced their raps individually. So that was like their homework, that they could practice it. They would write it and practice it individually. and then they performed it in groups. They rehearsed the performance, and then they performed for the class. Now, the intro to the unit was a YouTube video. A YouTube was one of the basic ways of communicating the information and to the students. And let's see here. I think I'll go through the entire presentation, and if I have time at the end, I will go through and do the YouTube things. But one of the things I need to say right now is, before I go any further, I need to chat. Oh, let me, oh, here it is, on chat. I am going to upload a PDF of this PowerPoint. So all of, like, the URL that you see on the screen, all of the URLs will be given to you on this. Okay, so if you look at your chat, you'll be able to download right now the PDF of this PowerPoint presentation. Okay, now this intro to the unit, this young person, this is America's Got Talent, the reality audition show, and he's 21 years old. And this is kind of interesting, kind of important, because he is in the same age group as my students. So he can do it, students can do it, is one of the messages that this gives. And it's rap and hip hop about how he thinks that he feels that he's important, but he's not known. But at the end of this performance, at the end of his life, everyone's going to know his name, that he wants to make an impact on people's lives. So students have got to do both the talk and the walk. The talk, that is, even though it is a workshop, it is in an English program. So the talk is, they learn alliteration. Alliteration, that is where adjoining words start with the same sound. And they learn rhyme. And for Japanese students, rhyme is not as obvious as it is for Western students, because most Japanese music does not rhyme, does not contain rhyme. Some of them do, but not frequently, not all, and definitely not the majority. So they really haven't had the exposure to rhyme. And for walking the walk, that is being able to show what they're doing, being able to do what they do with their the hip hop and the rap, they learn typical hip hop poses, and they learn typical hip hop steps, and they learn simple routines. That is, of several steps put together into a short routine, usually three or four different steps put together into a routine. Because my classes are, as I said, 14 times, but each time that they meet is 100 minutes. So each class is split between, at the beginning especially, about teaching the talk and about teaching the walk, so that you had both people sitting and doing academic things. Learning about alliteration and rhyme is usually done in almost all American elementary school, junior high schools, and high schools. And also walking the walk, that is being able to stand up and do and learn something on how to dance hip hop. Now, to basics of the talk and the walk, they learn alliteration. And I give examples. And the easiest examples to give are Disneyland, because Disney characters, many of the popular Disney characters have names that are alliteration. For example, Mickey Mouse with the M sound, Donald Duck, and those kinds of characters gives them the idea of what to do. And then they have to take their own name and make a alliteration, like a nickname that has an alliteration. For example, for me, I said Delightful David as an example of alliteration, and everybody had to create their own alliterative name. And to learn rhyme, I used a YouTube video, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, with all the lyrics on the screen. And it isn't just the first verse, but there are like 4 verses. And then the students see it. I point out one example, and then they have to point out the rest examples of the video, or of rhyme in the video. But the first verse is Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. So they had to say, star, R, high, sky. And those are examples of rhyme. And basics of the talk and the walk, the hip hop poses. There were 2 videos, hip hop poses and more hip hop poses. Now, I am, just to tell you right now, I am 67 years old. I am not going to stand up in front of my class and teach them how to do hip hop. All of these things, I used YouTube, because that's how everybody in the world now learns how to do new things. Basically, for free, they use YouTube, and it's a good way for you to teach your students that they can learn using hip hop, using YouTube. And then learn steps. And there are, so these are 3 simple hip hop moves. At this, and as I said, if I have time, I'm going to go through each of these different videos at the end. And then learn simple routines. There are 2 routines, and actually each of the videos is about between 12 and 16 minutes. So it's not, I can't show all of the video, but it's just very simple routines that they show it, and then they teach you each step. They take you through practicing the steps, and then they teach you how to go to the next step. And then they practice how they teach you how to put them together. So on the talk, writing the rap. So, oh, sorry. Writing the rap. We got in class, we took the 100 minutes and have them get to, because of COVID-19, one of the good things, and because they're engineering students, one of the good things was that all students, even though the classes were face-to-face, all students had to bring their computer, because there are some teachers who couldn't teach face-to-face and were, so the students had their computer so they could work on their rap using Microsoft Word. And what I said for the rap was you had to have 8-beat lines. And 8-beat is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Those are 8-beat lines. 2 rhyming lines about when you were young. 4 rhyming lines about your dream for the future. And 2 rhyming lines about your goal. And then we taught walk the walk. We used YouTube to teach the poses, the steps, and the simple routines. Putting it together. First of all, they chose a beat. And the beat is, there is a website that I will show you at the end. It looks like I'm going to have some time. And it is free hip hop dance music. And what it is about, it's several thousand free, sorry, it's not free. It's royalty free, which means if you use it in a music piece that you create, you don't have to pay royalties, but you have to pay a basic fee for buying the particular beat. However, they allow you to download a 1-minute to 6-minute clip of sound file of the beat. So I gave the students this URL and said, choose whatever beat you think you want. And the really interesting thing about the beats is that it's wide variety arranged according to type, and you can choose what beats per second you want to have. So if you want it slow beat, you can choose those and just click slow, and it will filter all of the slow beats. And those are, again, hundreds of slow beats, or medium or fast beats. And I'll show that to you soon. And then put rap to the beat. So now I taught them this as they were writing, because if they listen to the beat and they choose the beat, then they know how to write the words for the rap. That is, and what they did was, when they wrote the rap, then they emailed it to me on the dedicated learning management system that the university uses, and I would look at it and suggest corrections, suggest improvements, and the students really like that. And then they practice individually. That is, they practice putting their rap to the beat that they choose. And then together, the group, as I said, between 4 and 6 students, together would create one dance routine for their group. So we didn't have to have 24 dance routines that each student was required to put together by themselves. And the performance description. The group members start with a pose, some kind of gangster pose, and group dances through one iteration of the beat. It's at about 8 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the whole group dances together. So they start out feeling part of the group, and then one person moves to center stage with the mic and performs the rap while other group members are the back dancers. So the back dancers are repeating that one routine that they put together, and they're repeating it as back dancers. And each person, each individual steps up front center stage and with the microphone and then also and then when finished, passes the microphone to the next person, and the back dancers are continuing their back dancing. Now, because of COVID, we had restrictions. So what I did was I gave one of these huge sheets, sanitizing sheets, to each student as they're going on stage, and they would not take the mic with their bare hands, but using the alcohol sanitizing wipe to grab the microphone. So basically, it was in lieu of a glove. Then the rapper hands the mic to the next rapper, and you repeat until each rapper raps. And then the group dances together through one iteration of the beat. That's 8 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And ends with a different pose. And the audience is in a semicircle around the performers. So they're part of they're not sitting way back as an audience. They are right there around as part of the same in a sense, part of the large group that is the class. Now, the key points here are the students teach each other in English if they can, because a lot of the work is done by the students by themselves. Out of 100 minutes, the students are doing at least 60 to 70 minutes, if not more. So you have to give some scaffolding, some phrases that the students can use. And what this does is it creates group cohesion and group pride, because they put it together themselves. The teacher was not butting in. However, the teacher gets out of the way, just as an advisor role. So I would walk around and I would say, show me what you got. You want some advice? I'd say, change this, this, this. And mostly the changes were tighten it together, take out all of the dead space and just get it tighter. How much time did we take? It took as long as it took. That is, when the students felt confident, I said, guys, are you ready? I could see that they were actually practicing as so much that they were getting maybe even a little, just to the point of just starting to get a little tired of doing this presentation. And I said, okay, let's perform. And after they performed, they would get feedback, both group feedback and individual feedback. So the thing is, you can give feedback on the group because you see the whole thing as one performance, but each person is coming up front and giving their own rap. And the rap is put on Flipgrid, which is now called Flip, so that they can all see it and give feedback. So I'd like, see, we have 8 minutes left. Are there any questions? Anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask?
I have a question, David. Do you find that how effective this is differs depending on the age of the students, for like older students versus younger ones, even within the university level?
I think it's more. I think first-year students are first-year students, and often they'll start out diffident, but they're also very they have a lot more energy than the second,
Mhm.
third, fourth year students. So that's no problem there. But the beginning is a problem for second, third, and fourth year. The beginning is not a problem because all of them pretty much know each other since they've been in the same major for 2, 3 or 4 years, so they know each other better. So yeah, there is a difference in age, but it's more because of first year students were just a few weeks ago high school students, and they didn't know anybody in the class.
And then I remembered you mentioned that the class that you did it with were engineering students. Have you
Yes,
tried also with students from other fields to see if there's any
yes,
difference there?
yes. So I did this class 2 times, and the second group of students said they didn't want to do hip hop. I said, okay, so we did something else. So because it's a workshop, we had students were able to choose what activities they were going to do. Okay, if there are no other questions, then I'm going to go and show some of the YouTube. Can I do this? No, I cannot. Mainly because we're on YouTube.
It doesn't let you show YouTube on YouTube. That sort of makes sense. We've learned a restriction from this new YouTube streaming. All right.
Yeah, I just realized it just now. So actually, if you would like to stop the recording on YouTube and go just to regular